All right. It should say recording now on your screen as well. So just to start out, can you tell everyone your name? And if you want, you can tell us your age as well.
Okay, my name is Lynette Hammond. I'm 62 years old.
All right. Thanks. Do you mind getting a little closer to the mic?
See, where am I?
So just look close to the screen.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Can you hear me better?
Yeah, a little bit better. That's
Okay.
great. So go ahead and start from like where you grew up, where you were born.
No, well, I was born in Toledo, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Born and raised there all my life. My mother is Ethel Bennett, and my dad, his name was Herbert, who was deceased at an early age. And so my mom remarried years later. And so my stepdad, which is I know as Daddy, he raised us all the way up until, because I think I was about 3 when they met. So from 3 years old all the way up until he passed away some years ago, he was Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was raised in a home that had beliefs of you being right and doing right. There was a stern hand there on both sides. Daddy was a little easier going. Mama was the one with the the stiffness. But grew up with a house full of siblings. We had 7 girls and 1 boy. And I used to just shake my head because I felt sorry for him. He didn't have any
And were you like in the middle or?
kind of like, I'm like up where the older sisters are. So
Okay.
me, I'm about 4th.
It's a lot to keep track of.
Right. You know, and then it's my brother, and then it's 3 other younger sibling girls. Yeah.
Okay. So I found out about you because you have a cooking YouTube channel, and we'll get into all that later. But just like, is cooking a really important part of your life growing up, or was it?
Yeah, it was. It really, I mean, even from the time when I was old enough to understand family, I mean, seemed like that was the core, family coming together with family and, coming together with dinner and mom cooking all the time. All my life, that's she always cooked.
Yeah.
And that was just the core of my heart right there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I saw how cooking brought family and friends together, and the laughter and the conversations, and just the warmth of it. It was always pleasant to see people coming. And my mom was a type, she was like a homebody sort of,
Mm-hmm.
but she just reached out to everybody. Like she was the neighborhood mama.
Yeah, she was already cooking for 7, so might as well bring everyone else.
Right. All of our friends that grew up with us, none of them can say that when they were around us, they didn't miss a meal. Because whatever my mom had, everybody was welcome to it. And so our house was the neighborhood, I would say restaurant for everybody, but it was like a home restaurant where everybody could come and get filled up. And she always made sure there was plenty for everybody. And I grew up, seeing that.
And so did she teach you how to cook?
Yes, she did.
So you would just like watch her while she was preparing these large meals?
When I was little, when I was really young, I love my mother cooking so much. Like she had so many kids, and I used to try to figure out how does she keep the house clean and all of these things. And so I was always curious. And so, sometimes when she would begin to make, like, especially the holiday meals, it was so many of us. So she would do a lot of her cooking, like after we would go to bed and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
And see, I would smell pie, and I would begin to smell, and I would get up out that bed.
Yeah.
I would tippy-toe downstairs, and I would do a lot of little investigating and peeking. And I would always catch her. I mean, she would be, if she wasn't chopping something, she was mixing or blending something, or putting something in the oven or taking something out the oven, or something on. And when I looked at my mom, and I don't even think my mom even realized, when I would look at my mom, I just saw like a glow about her cooking.
Yeah.
And then when she would hum along with it, oh, I was like, she likes this. And, and being like, then I would sneak back upstairs and get back in the bed and everything. And then, next day when it's really holiday day, I would be like, yes,
Yeah, you get to finally eat all of it that you spent all night making.
oh, you talking about, and then you're waiting for the company to come, and how I still don't understand from this day how she could get 8 kids ready in time for dinner, stayed up all night long. The house is spotless.
Yeah.
Okay? And she's all of the people that would come. We would have people everywhere. And they would just come in, and I would look and see the enjoyment on everybody's face, sitting around eating and talking and laughing. And then I would still watch my mom and my dad, and the joy that glow and that smile that they would have on their face of contentment. And I thought, this is good.
Yeah.
As a young kid, So yeah.
Hearing about that, it sounds so cozy. I want to be there right now. I want to eat all that.
If I could get all of the relatives and even the friends that we had to come and be behind me, they wouldn't vouch. They would be over here.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Is there a specific food or meal that she made that was like your favorite?
Nope, I like everything.
All of it.
I think the first real dish that I really made that I fell in love, I love the spaghetti.
Oh,
I love my mom's spaghetti, but then, as you get older, there's so many favorite dishes. I just call them all my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so you learned when you were little, and I guess you've been cooking ever since. Have you noticed things changing in the way of cooking? Like there's new machines now and stuff like that?
Because the way my mom had to do it, it seemed more harder, because let's face it, like, and I was born like in the 50s, okay? So by the time I realized what mommy was doing, it was like, mid 60s or whatever, early 60s or whatever. And, coming from Black culture, like, just face it, Black people didn't have all of, the equipment that they needed. So, you would see them mixing things with their hands. They used to go, that looks tiresome.
Yeah.
But the mixing and the love that went into that. And then, as you get older, like now through the years, and even when I really like started my family and started, growing it and stuff, you had better technology that come along to make the things that you were doing easier. And then like, look at the spices and the herbs and things that they have now.
I didn't even think of that you would have less spices.
It was salt and pepper. It was salt and pepper. And they could take that salt and pepper and a little bit of flour and, some onion or whatever. And they could just, I don't know. They could make those meals come alive.
Yeah.
And I think as we got older, and my mom started allowing us in the kitchen and stuff, she started developing a thing where, when new spices or herbs, she started adding things into her food that her mother didn't use.
Innovation.
And it just made it better. It just, you grow with time, and it just made it better. And so she would just invite us. And as we got older and started having our own families, we still went over and helped cook because everybody gathered at mom's house. So, but she would still show us, and I was always just, well, what is this spice for? Where did you buy that? Where did you get that? And she would tell me, and I would take it home and experiment with it too. And I'm like, Mom, that was on point.
Yeah.
It's really something to see, the years of the progress on different things that you can use, to spice it up or keep it at a minimum, however, and I think that's just the trick in cooking, just continuing to learn and grow, as things come about, in this world, to just grab a hold to it, experiment with it. If you like it, fine. If you don't, you don't have to use it, so.
That's a good way to just look at life in general, I think.
Yeah, point blank. That's how, yeah.
So you have recipes that you use that are like passed down from generation to generation, and then every generation adds their little spice, I guess, and it just gets better and better. What do you think is like the oldest recipe that you have?
of my mom's, oh man, the oldest recipe I have from her, that I really loved her. Oh, I love my mom's dressing.
Oh, like salad dressing?
No, dressing, like stuffing. Some
Oh
people
yeah,
say
yeah.
stuffing, we're talking cornbread dressing.
I love
I
cornbread.
love the way she taught us how to make that, you
Mm.
know. And like, you know, nowadays you can take it, and I've heard of people putting different things in it. I use what my mom used, but then, you know, there's times when I might, you know, do things a little differently with my
A little something new in there.
but it just, to me, it enhances it. It doesn't take away from it, but I like the foundation that was given to me,
Yeah.
so that I'm able to do that, you know. With the
And are
meal.
you like the main cook in your family now out of all your siblings?
You know, out of all my siblings, I'm the main. I don't know, because all of us cook.
Okay.
I have two younger sisters. They are into, they can bake like no one else. And now I have a daughter who can bake. She does designer cakes and things like that. Now I don't do that. I like to cook. I'm not so much of a baker. There's only a few things I will bake. But if you want me to cook, I'll cook. But I have sisters, some of us, like, we gravitated toward cooking, and then some of us split off and gravitated toward baking.
That's good.
And
So at a family reunion, you have a little bit of everything.
when we first got out and we were grown and stuff, and I can remember me and my one sister, it was so funny. Her name is Donnie, and she loves baking. And so I remember a couple of times she'd be like, okay, if you make me this, she said, I need you to make this for me. I said, okay, so if I make you this, then will you bake me this?
Yes.
So we traded off, and she said, yeah. So it was fun that way, you know, and also fun, like, you know, I remember my mom, you know, after we got a little bit older, she started working to help her out, and we knew we wanted to be at her house. We were all, the older girls would band together. And so we would still go over and do a lot of chopping and boiling and peeling and putting things together to help her out, you know, so that she wouldn't be so tired.
Yeah.
We still had a party doing that. And my mom would come in, put her hands on her hip, and she would just shake her head. She goes, you guys are in here clowning. No, we're not. We're doing it our way, but it's going to get done, Mommy. We're going to do it, you know. So she would come in and take her stuff off and wash up and everything, and come in, and she go, I need to push y'all along because y'all having too much fun in here. But we still enjoy coming together as sisters and cackling all in the,
Yeah.
laughing. And she said, you can hear you guys from outside, you know. We didn't care, but we were having fun and doing what she taught us to do.
And when she like tries your take on her recipes, is she okay with it, or is she like, I like mine better?
You know what? I have to say that some of the things I have cooked for my mother, she has been quite pleased with them.
Good.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Nice.
Yeah, you listen. So that's like, okay, I did it right.
Yeah, you did a good job. Yeah, and I saw in your videos you don't like measuring too strictly, so I can imagine that's why baking is not that fun.
You know what? This is the thing. My mother never taught us. Now, my mother cooked and baked. And even in baking, my mother did not measure. It
Just
was
with the eyes.
you know, because she watched her mother. She cooked like her mother. So my mother didn't teach us how to use, you know, measuring spoons and things. We got in there and we just learned from what
Pinch of this, pinch of that.
A little bit of this.
Whatever tastes good.
Yeah. And so, you know, but even now there are some things where I go, okay, for the people, for some of you who do like a little measuring, I'm putting a little measurement in there for y'all.
Just to make you happy.
Yeah, make you happy. I want everybody to be happy on this thing. But I explained when I first started off, I go by touch, taste, and just a sense of how to cook that. That's how my mother did. And I just think, you know, if you just put your love into it, because that's what's most important. And you know what? And I'm not trying to insult anybody. You can cook, but there's a difference when you put that love into that.
You can taste it somehow.
Taste it. And that's what my mother always said. And I think that's what I saw on my mother when I was little and sneaking down, seeing and peeking the different times. It was the love she was putting in it, because she would have a smile on her face and she would look like she would just enjoy. She was in her element.
Yeah.
And
all the kids are leaving her alone and she finally gets some time to cook up a storm.
And so, it was just nice. And I think that's what I saw. I saw the love of her cooking. And so just seeing that, and everybody could just feel it, it was just that love of wow, this is really,
Yeah.
And so that's why I could, but I don't. I wish
It's okay. That's
I
how
wish
you do it.
something, but I'm trying to be honest with my viewers and my, subscribers, that I'm just one of those old fashioned ones.
But I think that's the charm in it. And we can get into this. So like you have a YouTube channel. It's called Lynn's Kitchen, right? Hashtag Lynn's Kitchen. I saw that. I was actually just watching an episode right before this, and I was like drooling. I was like, oh, I really need to make chili now. So what made you decide to start this now? And yeah.
Well, actually, I have been watching. We didn't have cable, so when we moved from Ohio, and then we moved to Alexandria. My daughter wasn't stayed there, and then we were really able to move. We came down here, right,
To Louisiana.
Right to Louisiana, and so about a year and a half in, all of a sudden my husband decides he wants to buy a home. But we decided, cut down on costs so we can get cable,
Okay.
So the YouTube was there. I had never, and I was bored one day and I started flicking through. And so I think the first YouTube it was series from like movies of Nigerian love and stuff like that. And, I got to the point where I couldn't even understand what they was doing. I was like, okay, I understand this. So then I got off of that. And then my first YouTube that I can tell you about, I watched this lady named Beloved. And she's called Beloved, and she's a mukbanger. And that's a eat. And I watched this lady eat, and I was like, oh my goodness, what is this? And so I got interested and so I said, well, let me just watch this for a while.
That's so funny. You got like super deep into YouTube weird trends. And
my idol, though I didn't understand it, but I said, okay. So then I started, then, she got on there and she was so honest about how you start a YouTube, She said, I'm going to tell you how I started out, and I don't want you to make the mistakes I make, or I don't want you to be afraid of testing out, your skills or, or your gifts. And she was like, you start off and don't expect much, but whatever you do, just keep going. And so she started explaining the stuff, although I still didn't understand a lot of it, but I just liked her.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I went from her and I went to I said, oh, there's other things on here. And it was cleaning. And there were vloggers. I had to understand what a vlogger was.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness. And then all of a sudden, I started going into the cooking channels.
Yay.
And I was like, wow, look at these ladies on here on these cooking channels. And so I just tuned into that. And I've been tuned in, for about 3 years now. And so when my son decides, he comes over a lot. And so one day he came over like about middle of last year, and he was laughing at me. He says, Mom, every time I come here, you're watching YouTube. And I was looking,
the roles are reversed.
I was like, wait a minute, now this is my house. But then it was funny. I said, no, you just catch me watching. I don't do it all day long.
Only when you're here.
I said, when I sit down and I'm done everything, this is my relaxation time. So this is what I do. And so he was laughing at it. I said, and I don't know what came over him. I said, let me tell you about YouTubers. And I began to tell him. And then I said, you can do it. Because I'm always pushing everybody else. I want to see everybody else get ahead. I figure, and I said, well, okay. And I pushed him out there to do his. He also has a channel.
Okay.
And he's doing great on it. And I'm so grateful.
What's he doing?
His channel is called Real Men Get It Done.
That's great.
Real Men Get It Done. I said, you can do it. Why don't you try it? I said, and you can call it Real Men Get It Done. And he took me up on it, and he's doing great now.
Awesome.
And so I was sitting up in October, and I got hungry, and I was telling people about this. And I said something to my husband. He said, don't say anything else to me, because you could be on there doing that. You could. I said, but they already got enough cooking channels. Everybody's cooking. What can I add to the game? Because I said, some of these ladies on here, they make me want to feel like, oh, maybe I need to go back and repeat some stuff. Or, like I said, they are cooking themselves to death. And he said, well, don't say anything else to me. He said, because you could do that too. You can even do the cleaning project, if you wanted to. And I'm like, it's enough cleaning. So I had this craving. I hadn't had Salisbury steak in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I could taste this Salisbury steak, and I thought, I said, you know what? I'm going to do some Salisbury steak and do it in my onion gravy. I said, and I'm going to get me some cabbage and put that with it. And I'm going to cook me some cornbread and eat that with it. And I said, I'm going to do some homemade mashed potatoes. I just went off. It sounded just like my mom. I was making it. And I made him go to the store, and I bought all those ingredients. I bought all the ingredients to go into them.
So Salisbury steak is like a hamburger steak?
Yes.
Okay.
And I said, I'm just going to do it. And so I came in, and we went to the store, and I washed up everything. I set everything out in the stages that I was going to cook it and everything. And he came in, he just came and stood. He looked at me. I said, what? He said, right now. He said, I can film you right now. You got everything laid out? He said, I can film you right now. So I said, just go get the camera. But I was being sarcastic. Sarcastic. I actually didn't think he was going to get the camera out. He went and he got the camera out.
And now you got to do it.
I was stuck. He said, okay. So that's how I got started, being sarcastic. He had to push me out there.
But it worked.
It worked. I hope I'm doing pretty well with it, but I'm just enjoying doing what I do.
That's great.
It's natural for me to cook.
And you weren't like a cook before professionally or anything?
No. We help the youngest sister was a coordinator for weddings, and banquets and things like that. And so in my early years now, I used to, like I worked for a hospital on the weekends for extra money. I used to do like different catering venues and stuff like that. Mm. And so when it was so funny, it was like when she got old enough to do it, this was her job too. She did this in Toledo for a long time, Sabrina's Catering. And so a lot of times she would just grab her sisters. We would be, her waitresses, or we would be in the kitchen chopping and cooking. My mom would be back there,
family business.
We did it. We that's what we did. And it was so funny. I was like, we're doing this as a business. I said, she's doing this as a business, but it was funny. I said, we're using our skills, Mm-hmm. So it's not unfamiliar territory,
sure.
But it's just, I don't know. Like I said, I'm more like, I'll do the back scenes. I'm in the background, and I'm okay with being in the background. And I do work better under pressure, though, for some reason. You push me out there, and okay, let's do this challenge. All right. But I'm not just gonna step out there. That's just not me. And I think what calmed me down when I did do the first one, I remember my pastor preaching a sermon is saying that don't stay where you are. You can always go forward, no matter what age you are. Yeah. Use the gifts and talents that God has given you. Share with what God has given you. You know what I'm saying? And I've always wanted to be able to reach people.
There you go. Now you can reach everyone.
I'm a people person, and I am a Christian. And I just wanted to take this, and I said, well, God, what do you want me to do with it? And I just want to be, you know what? If people want to feel like I'm their granny, then like, I'm gonna hold you like this.
Yeah.
I have grandchildren. I love them. My grandchildren are always pushing me. My grandson, one of my grandsons here, his name is Caden. He always says, he's been telling me for years, Grandma, please start a business. I will be your biggest supporter because I'll be there to eat. And I was like, oh no. I said, see, if I start a business, that means I have to be there every day. And but he has been begging me. He says, people need to taste your food, Granny. He said, it's so good. And so I told him, I said, okay, your wishes come true. Yeah. Now Granny's out here, showing people how to do it. And I think that's still helping somebody, because sometimes
now he's going to have to cook it on his own. He just watched the video.
He'll just come over to Granny's,
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always been familiar with food, and so it's not new to me. And watching these other ladies, I just give them all props. I thank God for them, because listen, I'm not too proud that, yeah, I'm gonna go in there and let them know. I might try some of their recipes too, because they look really good.
That's what it's for.
I want to try the recipes because I'm like, yes, these women are doing it. And that's what I thought when he was telling me to do this. I was like, what can I offer? Because there's women on here already doing this.
Yeah, but you're your own personality, your own way of doing the recipes, and you can see it. And I was going to ask this next, like you can see it in the comment section. Everyone is saying, I just feel like I'm in my grandma's kitchen. Like it looks so good. I can smell it from my house, and everyone's loving it. So you got to be doing something right.
When I read those, and I'm going to tear up.
Oh,
It just touched my heart.
it's so sweet.
I just want to stay humble in what I'm doing. And if that's touching somebody or causing somebody to have a better day or better outlook on who they are, then I'll keep doing it. And I'm asking God to keep me humble in it, because I know this is not just, it just happened. You know, God opens doors sometimes without us realizing when they're going to open. And I was just telling somebody, all my life, I've always wanted to be a help to somebody or just be an inspiration to somebody. Mm-hmm. And this is yet the time that God has allowed me to do it. He's opened that door. And I pray, God, whatever talent I have, you show me how to use it in the way you would have me to use it. And I thought when I got all of that, those messages, comments, God said, here you go. And I said, okay.
Oh, it's so sweet.
Heart, if I could just hug everybody and love on everybody, I would. Oh. But you're in my heart wherever you are. And I was so blown away from the many subscribers and viewers that are out there.
Yeah.
God, thank you for these viewers and subscribers, and just let my family grow.
And it's so great because, like, you know, with this reach, even if you had your own business, you wouldn't have like 3,000 people sitting in your restaurant, you know, and you can reach so many people. And yeah.
And I never look at myself as being anything great or fabulous. And I will never do that, because my mom and dad always taught us, just be who you are. Mm-hmm. You can't be anybody else but you. God gave you you. So you don't have to imitate anybody else or want to try to be like anybody else, because you can only be you. He made you to be you.
And that's what makes it special. People could see your personality shining through. And if everyone was, you know, editing over the top and being exactly the same, then it all kind of runs together.
I think so. Yeah. But I really appreciate, I just want them to know from my heart, I can't get to, I'm like, how am I supposed to get to all these subscribers? But I just want them all to know how they have touched my heart. And it even makes me more humbling to what I'm doing. Yeah. And I everybody has advice, and I know I can't get it all, but I'm gonna try to do what I need to do.
I mean, already from the 5 videos you have there, it gets better and better every time. I saw there's a new one yesterday, and there's like a little theme song now. I love it.
Yeah. And I just ask God to just pour the gifts into us. You know, let us, disperse these gifts in a joyful manner. And I just feel so blessed. I feel blessed because God has taken and using one of the purposes that he put me here for. Yeah. And I'm seeing the fruit of it.
And you're enjoying yourself too. And it's also not like a business where you have to be there and eventually, you know, you have to wake up. Now you just do whatever you want.
Right.
Have fun.
That's why I told my grandson, no, if I did it as a business, I don't think I would like it as much. Mm-hmm. You know, I said it has to be something where, you know, Granny can vibe in it.
Yeah, you're totally vibing.
Yeah, and so, you know, I know that his eyes are open right now, you know, and he doesn't care as long as he gets Granny's food.
Yeah, his grandma's YouTube started.
Whether it's a restaurant or at his house or at my house, as long as he gets Granny's food, he's okay. He's okay.
So he loves the videos and your food. How has the rest of your family received or thought about what's going on with you being on YouTube?
My sisters they're just like, sis. They're like, I'm so proud of you.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you know, I said, I don't even know what I'm doing. All I know I'm getting in the kitchen and I'm cooking.
But you know that. You know how to do that.
But you know, and somebody said, you just understand the door is open for you. And I've got people from Toledo that have said, look, we have, you know, they put on the post, and I thank them so much. They recognize one of the interviews I had, and they caught hold to it, and they were like, this is one of our own Toledo.
Hey.
Toledoans, our home girl. And it made me feel so good that
Yeah.
it reached my hometown, you know.
It's so good the reach you can get from the internet stuff.
It really is. And I was like, wow. But I have to thank my grandbaby for that, because she pushes me. Brianna, oh, that's my agent. She is ace for Granny. Whatever Granny do, she's right there behind me. And even in that, I was talking to her on the phone about this, and she was talking all of this. I said, baby, you know, Granny don't know all this techno, this new tech
Yeah.
stuff. I said, I have to ease into it. I said, it's hard for me. And she was explaining all of this stuff. And I was like, okay, you're going to talk to your dad and my husband about that, because you guys know this stuff. I said, I was just running conversation and she was keeping me company. But she actually got off that phone and got to work. And
Wow.
I was like, you know, when they woke me up with the news, I thought something had happened at home, because I was, get up. And I'm thinking, well, what's going on? And I couldn't see. I was, you know, somebody wake you up like, you know, because I don't shake me when you wake me up, you know.
It's terrifying, yeah.
I jumped up and I couldn't see and I couldn't focus. And my husband was like, look at this. And I'm like, well, where are my glasses? And I put those on and I'm still trying to see out my glasses, you know. And then when things got cleared up, he said, look at these numbers. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, well, what is this? And my granddaughter and my son and my daughter were on the other end. And they're like, Mom, you're blowing up. And I'm like, blowing up what? And I looked and seen the numbers and I was like, don't play with me. Don't play with me. And they started laughing because I was just outdone. My husband's like, looky. And I thought, come on, y'all, don't play. Don't, because they do play sometimes. My family is good at rigging stuff, and because they like to see my expression.
Yeah.
Because I get hysterical, right? And I just thought they were playing with me. And it was like, no, sit. My husband said, no, really look here. And I said, no, like this. I said, don't, and I started crying. And they're like, I said, y'all, don't play with me. And so when I seen that, my heart, I was like, oh my goodness. And then I got up and I walked around that whole morning. I couldn't even take my blood pressure because I knew it was up high from being joyful. So I didn't
That's
even take,
so great.
for the first 3 days, I did not take my blood pressure because I could not believe it. And I said, I'm not taking my blood pressure because it's going to make me sick. I know my blood is up because I'm elevated in joy. And I wouldn't take my blood pressure because of that.
Do you know what caused that like spike in numbers? It's just when you went live, everyone was looking at it?
When I looked at my last video for subscribers.
Oh.
I went to sleep that night.
Sorry, I just lost the connection.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You just dropped off. Oh, are you seeing me?
Yeah, I see you.
You dropped off when you said when you looked at that video.
Okay, I'll tell you that. When the night before I went to sleep, when I looked at the video, and I don't know if that was a Salisbury steak one or if it was one of them, all I know is my subscribers, I had 64 subscribers. Mm-hmm. And I had 177 views on something.
You know those numbers pretty well.
And I remember those numbers because I looked at it and when I went to bed that night, I said, Lord, I'm just going to do this because I enjoy doing it now since I'm doing it. I said, but whatever happens, I give it all to you. That's it. I give it all to you and I'm going to bed. I cut that TV off. My husband was already in bed, sleep. I had taken my shower early and I got in bed. I said, thank you, Lord. And when I got up, they woke me up like that the next morning.
The next day, wow.
The next day, it was from 64 or whatever, 69 subscribers to, and I could have bought I could have made a new hole in my wall. Because I wanted to run I wanted to run through the wall to say, that is not me. Come on, y'all joking. you know.
Just to prove that, like, just, you doing you in your kitchen, it just makes people feel at home, I think.
I appreciate that. And
I
that's
only
what
wish that I could eat the food at the end because it just looks so good.
and my mother always taught us that. She says, just don't throw nothing together. She says, if you're going to represent the food that you cook, represent it all the way. She says, do not lay anything out that's not going to look tasty. She said, now how they eat it afterwards and what they go, that's different. But when you lay it out, you make it inviting.
Yeah.
If it's going to taste good, it's got to look good. That's what she always
That's part
told
of
me.
it.
She
Yeah.
says, don't do anything. She say halfway. If you're going to do it all the way. And that was her and my dad's motto. Don't do it, put your heart into what you do, because that represents you.
You can tell.
That's your integrity. And that's how we were raised,
And so your husband takes care of all of the sort of editing and video stuff?
Yes, girl, because if it was me, they would be like, no, we can't do this. But yeah, he's my backbone.
He's doing a great job.
Oh, thank you. I'm so proud of him. Yeah.
So what do you have in stock? Can you talk about, like, what are your plans?
No, you know what? I'm just gonna go with the flow.
Day by day.
Day by day, whatever is the dishes that I'm doing right now. I realize that the holidays are coming up, so I'm just doing certain dishes. And I want people to understand. I'm trying to get to like people that truly too, that maybe it's like, I don't feel like cooking all of this stuff on a holiday. I'm trying to show them you can prepare your holidays way ahead of time. You can freeze most of your things. Like if you're doing grains, if you're doing dressing, even if you're doing certain meats, you can wash and clean your meats, and you can put your seasonings and things on your meat. Get you those freezer bags, and put your meat in that. And if you have to double do it, zip them. And the thing that's so good about that, the secret to cooking like that or preparing is that, your greens, you get them washed and cut and clean. You can put them in freezer bags. Even your cabbage, you can put that in freezer bags, or you can choose to cook your greens and cool them down, put them in freezer bags, and guess what? The seasonings will run through that, and boy, all you have to do is unthaw them, and boy, when you cook them, the seasonings be in there.
It's almost even better.
Oh yes, even better. And that's just an easier way if you still want to participate in, making your family feel good for the holidays. Because I know that people nowadays, both parents have to get out and work. It's a working situation now where times are not like it was when my mother could stay at home and prepare meals because things were cheaper. Now things cost more. So you have to get out there in order to live a lifestyle that you need to live, or just to be able to keep a roof over your head and food. It takes two people now, and I understand that. But even in that, sometimes you're too tired to work. You're not interested in trying to do holiday meals. You just rather go out to eat. But look, you can still do them, because I used to work too, and I know I worked full time, and I had to find an easier way of doing my holiday cooking, or if I had a lot on my plate, setting food aside and doing, like I said, preparing it early.
Getting it ready, yeah.
So then when I had to get it ready, all I have to do was take it out the night before, and maybe my husband would come home from work and he would be the one that would put it in the oven, but it's already, it's already seasoned and clean. All you have to do is put it in the oven. Or either, if it came to like green beans or something like that, thaw it out. All you had to do was put it on low and let it simmer on the heat,
Yeah, that was actually going to be one of my questions. Like, what's your favorite meal for when you're kind of lazy and don't feel like cooking something really extravagant, but that's still comforting?
You know what? I like to cook like my chili. I like to do I like Tuscan soups, like potato.
And then you just like freeze it and thaw it for when you're lazy.
I like to make my beans up sometimes, like my beans. I might have just plain beans, or I may have beans with turkey meat in it. Or I might, that's how I do it. And you can, these things, you can like put them, like let it cool down and put them in separate bags sometime.
Yeah.
And you put them in there, and there's times when I'm like, okay, we're not cooking what I got in here. Oh, I got some cabbage in here, and I got me some beans. So
There
I
you
can
go.
take cabbage out and my beans and just make up a quick, cornbread if I want to, or if I choose not to, I don't.
Yeah.
And there I got a meal, and I haven't worked hours doing it.
Mm-hmm. You did,
So
but your previous self, you could thank your previous self for doing that.
and that's what you can do. You can pre-do your stuff for the holidays or whenever. So it makes it, you're not standing on your feet all night long, and all day long. Because that's what I used to do. I used to, and my
It's a
mom,
lot of work.
yes, and my mom did it, and I watched her do it, and I had so much respect for my mom because I didn't know how she did it. And then, like, when I had my own family and I was working and everything, and as my kids got older and they loved the tradition and all of that, and I love inviting family over and everything, I would get off from work after working all day long. Like, I had jobs where I worked from 2:30 in the evening to 11:30 at night. And I would get off, and I'm washing the turkey and seasoning the turkey, and then I'm cutting up all the stuff for the dressing, and then I got to make cornmeal for the dress. All what I'm saying? Got to do
too
the
much.
potatoes and the macaroni, and then the next day when it's time, by the time everybody would get there,
You're too tired.
I was too tired to eat. Matter of fact, sometimes they would catch me in the corner and I'm sleeping.
Yeah, that's no good.
And I'm sleeping, and I'm like, it's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
And so that's what I started thinking. Wait a minute, you can freeze greens. Okay.
There you go.
I can clean my meat ahead of time and season it and bag that. And that's been my motto ever since.
So is that like your number one cooking tip, or what are a few other little ones you have?
You can make it easier for you in the kitchen by preparing your stuff.
What are some other little tips you'd have?
Oh, well, I just believe, and if you're not that type of like a big cooker or whatever, sometimes to make it easy for me in the house, I might do a baked chicken in the oven and just prep me a salad, and we'll have chicken in that salad as a dinner.
Yeah.
If it's too, if you just don't have the time, you can make simple dishes. And I'm gonna, I'm doing through the holiday, but I am going to, as the holiday season's up, I'm going to go into quicker meals that you could do, like after work, because we do salmon, and you can roast asparagus, or you can even do like I say, the slow cooking processes. If you don't want to do it, put everything in your slow cooker.
Yeah, close it, walk away.
Tonight and walk away,
Yeah.
Just simple dishes that, sometimes I'll just do a big baked potato, and we put all the little fixings in it and a salad.
Done.
And that's a meal.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Good meal. And then sometimes I just feel like it's just too much. I might just do a salad, but I may just put like, different vegetables in that salad. I like green tossed salad. So I like different greenery in my salads, the real rustic greens. And I may sit up and just cut up the different colored bell peppers, and some red onion and slice in there and mix it all up. I might chop up some onions, some apples and put that in there and just,
Looking forward to those videos.
Salads and things, but there's easy ways for you. And even if you don't want to do like the traditional Christmas and Thanksgiving dinners, you don't have to. It's just traditional. It's just something that you're used to, that mom did, that grandma did. We're going to do something different. And my channel might change a little bit, but we're going to do something different.
I'm looking forward to your holiday videos. That's going to be fun. I
know. I hope, because I'm that's why I'm trying to prepare certain things ahead of time, and I just think it's just, there's different ways of cooking and still enjoying it. And I know some of my viewers were saying, I'm not much of a cook, but the way you explain this, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
It feels so good. And we're trying to, as much as possible, I'm trying to show the ingredients that I use. I'm trying to show that like down, on
it's
the
very
side.
clear.
Yeah, the ingredients that you can use, but I want to make this very plain. I'm showing you what I grew up on and how I have taken and up some of my recipes that my mom showed me. But I want people to understand that I understand that, like, because I got people like from New Zealand and
Wow.
Australia and places like that. They may not have the ingredients that I use.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is, if you just build it from the foundation, you know, of what I'm showing you, you may not have onion powder and garlic powder. Just use fresh garlic in there.
Yeah.
Just use some greens in there. Modify it, but as you're tasting it, do it. Take a test, you know, a taste test. And what it really is your taste buds.
Yeah.
Feeling
What
that
works
taste
for you.
that you're looking for.
My favorite so far has been the addition of grape jelly into the chili.
Did you like that?
Oh, I'm going to try that. I was like, I'm going to make some chili. That looks really good.
You know what? And I knew when I did that, I knew people were going to go, jelly? Are you kidding me? Who puts jelly? But I'll tell you, all it does, what it does is it helps solidify some of that acid. You know, that comes away. It helps sucks, you know, because I'm putting a lot of ingredients in there, you know.
Yeah.
So it just
and it's a big pot too.
Yes. When I make chili, I had to make chili for me and I had to make chili for my family here.
Yeah.
My son and his family, because they love stuff like that. So that's why I did it. And it took me years to learn how not to make big portions because we were a big family.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, families.
You can always freeze it.
And that's why I try to tell them, hey, don't throw it out. Anything I'm doing, you will hear me say, keep this, save it, freeze it, because you may need it for something else. I never throw out. I don't throw out my baking grease. If I make greens and I have the juice from the greens left in my greens, guess what? I'm saving that because you know why? It still has seasoning and flavor in it. And so the next time I'm getting ready to make greens, guess what? I can use my green juice left off from what I cooked before.
Oh, look at
so,
that.
you know, refurbish your stuff. Don't just throw it out, you know, I'm trying to save your money too. But, you know, yes, I'm saying you can, if it's one person, it's fine. If it's two or three, if you find that you made more, break those portions down, freeze those leftovers.
Yeah.
Because you will have times when you don't feel like it. And then you may say, I have a taste for so and so. Aha. I have some in the freezer left over.
I love when that happens.
You know, yes. And so that's how my mother always did because she had a house full of kids and so she always, you know, my mother always said, I would rather have more than plenty than to have less. So she said that's why she always made more. So that if there were leftovers, she knew you could eat the next day.
Yeah.
You know, we never knew anything when we were I didn't know we was poor.
There's always food, right?
There was always food. And my mother made it fun. I mean, the meals that she used to make, and I asked my dad one time, I said, Daddy, what kind of meal is this called? He said, poor man meal. And I thought, poor man's meal, but I thought he was making fun. So I started laughing. You know, you're a kid, you're ignorant, you don't know. Parents tell you. But my mom made those meals fun. I can remember times when she would make up, they were cornmeal pancakes.
Ooh. I'd eat that. That sounds great.
Cornmeal pancakes. And she would make up the fish salmon patties to go with them.
Ooh.
And we had this syrup called Alga. I think I'm Alga or Algas. This syrup was so good. But anyway, it was a thicker type syrup. But that meal, I'd just be sitting up there kicking my little feet and
get so excited.
Those were poor man meals.
But it doesn't matter. It probably tastes amazing.
But like I'm saying, as a kid, I didn't know. I thought we was rich. We always ate. We never, because my mom always made the food festival where you wanted to eat it.
Yeah.
You know. So
that's really great.
God.
That's such a great thing she's passed down to you.
Oh, I love my mommy. And yeah, that's my girl.
I actually had a question that may be a little bit of a challenge. I don't know. But I was watching a few of your videos and I think I really want to make like cornbread and chili now, but I'm vegetarian.
Okay.
So I know like a lot of the good flavoring comes from like the beef, you know, the sauce and the andouille and the sausage and everything. what would you recommend? How can I still like get a good flavor without those things in the base?
Okay, so you don't have to have it. You do your kidney beans, right?
Mm.
Now you can like for your beef for you don't have to put the meat in it at all. You do not have to use the meat at all. You can still use like, you know, the garlic in there, the greens, you know, the green onion. You can still use like fresh tomatoes in there. Cut up the fresh tomatoes and put in there, or stewed tomatoes. Fresh tomatoes, you know, if you don't do the can or what have you, but fresh tomatoes. And I would say that you could still, if you don't want to use like the beef off in there, like, you know, like you were saying, would you,
The broth, yeah.
if you don't want to use that broth, then I would suggest just cook your beans up, put the ingredients, you know, you can just use, if you have, you know, use whole garlic in there. You could, like I said, the green onion, you can still use the onions in there, but to your taste, you know, use your salt if you want to, or you know, seasons like you can try like you can try like the dry seasonings like I do. You know what I'm saying? But you can still taste to get that flavor that you want.
Yeah.
Because it's up to you. You don't have to do it with the dewy in there or anything like that. Okay, you don't even have to do it with the bacon grease. But if you,
I know it's better though. I'm sure.
But if you're a vegan and you just don't go for all of that meat, which I understand, then yeah, make it like, because sometimes I cook my beans without meat. You know, I'll cook them without meat in a minute. I mean, it don't matter. I can add meat. For me, I've come away from trying to use like pork in my food. So that's why you'll see me doing more turkey in my food. Because it is healthier. Yeah. But I can understand that if you're vegan and you don't want the meat, eliminate the meat.
It's still okay.
And it still will be okay. Just, you know, put your seasonings in there. Make sure you know get your and as you go, you see as I go. I taste as I go.
Yeah.
You'll know when you get that right taste.
You'll be like,
it'll be like,
that's it.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I can see you. You're just like tasting it. You're like, guys, this is so good, and I'm like, oh, I want to try it. It looks so good.
Yeah, you know, 'cause, you know, yeah, I tell people all the time. You know, there are sometimes me and my husband, we don't want the meat in our beans. Yeah, I don't even want the meat in my greens sometimes. You know, so I don't put it in there. I just put the rest of the vegetables in there, and if I feel like cooking with just plain water with my greens, I will. You know. Sometimes I won't use the broth in there. That depends on how I'm feeling about it. Yeah. We have times where I just make up greens and that's what we eat for 2 or 3 days. Yeah, why not? You know, like, it's like sometimes I get this thing where, okay, I'm fed up with eating this, and that. And then when I feel like that, I know it's time for me like to take a little flush, like, you know, you know, greens. Cleanse. Yes. You know, and even with your cabbage, the same thing. You don't have to put meat in your cabbage. You take your cabbage. You don't have to put the bacon grease in it or anything. You can take your cabbage and you can cook it in plain water, and just add, like you can, like I showed you, you can add the leeks in there, because that gives it flavor. You can add the green onion in there, and if you don't want all of the onions, just add the green onion, or you can just use plain onion and use the leeks. Yeah. Because the leeks is something like an onion, but
a little kick at least.
It's a different taste with the leeks. And you put that in there, and you know, put a little vinegar in there, and do it to your taste. Put the seasonings in there that's good to your taste. Nice. You know? Yeah. And when you're making your cornbread, you don't have to put buttermilk in it. You don't. They have vegan butter, right? So you put vegan butter in there. You can use water.
Yeah, and I saw in your cornbread it's hot water, right?
Yeah, the hot water cornbread is, you just have to boil. You boil all, and you know, if you don't want to add sugar in that, that's up to you. But you can do that hot water cornbread any kind of way you want to. Some people might add milk, but they say the oldest way to do it is you just, you know, you just add, you get the cornmeal, and you can put a little baking powder in there, or was it baking powder in there? And you can add what? A little bit of salt in there. If you don't want to put the sugar in there, that's fine. Or if you have some type of vegan sweetener that you might use, put that in there. Make sure that the water is boiling hot on the stove because you want to do it hot.
Yeah.
And pour the water in there and take it and, use it.
No milk, no nothing. There you go.
Milk in there and, make your patties, a little bit maybe thinner than I did. But make your patties.
It looks so good though.
Put them in there, in the grease or what have you, and let them do what they do.
Nice.
You don't. Like I'm saying, most of the meals, I'm trying to let people know you can modify them. But I want to give you the foundation. That's what I'm here mainly for, to give you the foundation.
Yeah, and also it's nice to see like you watching you do it, and kind of for people who don't know how to cook, I think just watching someone go through the motions, it's really helpful. Or like, yeah, rather than just reading a recipe off of a page.
I was like, how you, okay. And so, but that's just me. Even when my grandkids are over and they say, Granny, what are you putting in that? And I said, come on, I'm gonna show you. Just look, just watch. They're to the point, if they're here and I'm cooking in there in the kitchen, especially Grandma, she go, oh, yeah, I don't see your so-and-so. She'll go in the cabinet and get it out. Yeah, she's like, this is what you're gonna do next. They know what Granny used to, they will come and they know my products and things. And like I'm saying, I realize that in some countries, they don't have some of the products that are over here. Now, me moving from Ohio to Louisiana, Louisiana don't have all the products that I use in Ohio. So I have, you have to have a different mindset. I'm trying out different things like seasonings that they use. And then Louisiana has good food too. They got good seasonings and things. Yeah. So okay, I'm gonna be down here. Yeah, you gotta learn it. Run back and forth to Toledo to get everything I need. No. So I've had to modify my dishes, but my dishes are still good because, like again, I'm tasting as I'm going to see, is this the flavor I want? And then sometimes it brings the flavor up to another notch. Yeah. So it's okay if you take and modify. I'm not on here to say, well, this what I use and this what you should use, and go get this. I'm not going to do that because everybody has a way of cooking the way they need to cook. I just, I'm just building the foundation and showing you this is what Mom used to do, or this is what I've learned new to do, or I'm going to try this like I've never tried. So I'll be doing dishes like that. I'm going to try this, y'all. We're going to see if this going to work out. Yeah. Cool. That's, do it as honest as I can. Do you have any fun stories that go around cooking or with your family maybe? It's hard to think of on the fly sometimes, but just in case you have some on mind. Well, I'll tell you the first time, not with cookies, but the first time I think I set out to do a cake, I'm like, this cake gonna be just like my mom's cake, and I'm sitting up there, and I'm like, now I do know with baking. Now, sometime with baking. Now, my mother is expert in that. Like I said, I like the cooking part, and I did like her baking because I would eat that. But the baking part of me, I was like, I ain't going through all that. I'd rather cook. I do understand that you do have to have it specifically a certain way sometime in order for it to come out the way you need to. So if you're going to do that box recipe, you better do it the way the box say do it. Because if you try to do it any other way, I've learned that. And so I went one day and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to try this cake and it's going to be just as good as my mom. Yeah. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to try to do Miss Ethel without the Miss Ethel on my own. I'm going to do the Lynette on my own. Yeah. And I mixed this and mixed that, and I'm thinking, this is really going to be, and I put extra this in it and that. I put that cake in the oven, and I'm thinking, this is going to be good. Girl, when I went back to that thing and it was supposed to have been done, I took that cake out. That cake was flat as a pancake. I was so embarrassed, and I was in the house by myself. Yeah. I was like, oh, no, it didn't. I thought it was going to come out fluffy and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you had such high expectations. That cake was flat. It was done. And I took that thing out the pan. It was so flat. It had no bounce. It was just there. And I was so, and nobody was home, but I was just me and God. I said, Lord, I'm so embarrassed. I don't even want you to see this. It was
Don't look.
terrible. And I looked at this thing and I thought, I did this. And I used what made mine different than my mom's? What's going on? And I said, and I was gonna call my mom, but I said, nope.
Don't tell her.
I will not let her know that that's the type of cake that turned out for me. I was so embarrassed and humiliated. And then
It happens to everyone.
I turned around and I got the box, right? And I read all the ingredients. And I learned from then. I was like, okay, there are some things in life you have to follow instructions on.
Yeah.
You have to follow the complete instruction or it will fail.
Mm-hmm.
That taught me a lesson. I was like, maybe you don't do cakes because you can't do cakes.
That's a good life lesson, yeah.
I will listen. I tell you what, the only cake I know that I can do, I will tackle a pound cake. I love lemon pound cake. But like these other cakes, my mom used to cook like lemon cake and the chocolate, with the yellow in it, the chocolate cake.
Yeah, yellow cake, yeah.
Coconut pineapple. She used to do jelly cakes and caramel cakes.
Wow.
And, oh man, my mom would get in there and I'd be like, I cannot stand you, Ethel. I can't. And her cakes oh my goodness. And they just melt in your mouth. And I'm like, you got me on that one, Ma.
At least, yeah, she can still beat you with that.
But I tell you what I did learn now, if I'm going to bake anything, my best thing to bake, I love sweet potato pies.
Oh, yeah, I do too.
I can bake my sweet potato pies because I was right there watching the Ethel girl do that one. I was like, and I loved her, and my dad too. Oh, he used to make her so mad. Because the minute she would take one out the oven, my dad was like a sneaky person too. She would leave out the kitchen. When she come back, a slice is gone. And she would say, William, and he would be so quiet. She said, William, you hear me? I know you hear me. You do. He said, what did I do? She said, nobody took that slice of pie, but you couldn't wait till it get cooled off. He's like, no, I like them hot. But she would, and that would be so funny. And then if I come in, she said, don't you even try it. Dad got away with it, but you're not, But I love my mom until today. That was one of the things that I really geared on because I really love that pie. And you can have sweet potato pie any time of the year.
Oh, yeah.
And I love their sweet potato pie. And so that one, I got that one cornered.
I want to see that video. I'm going to make sweet potato pie soon.
Do it for the holiday. I'm going to do a sweet potato pie and put that out there and stuff, but I enjoy doing that. Now I can make a pound cake but I'll make my sweet potato pie. Anybody going to stop me from that? But rest of it, the cooking, and I do want to learn, and I will be honest with people. As far as like making up doughs and breads, I'm gonna be in my test kitchen doing stuff like that.
Ooh.
Because I truly want to learn how to make dough for like my own pies, and I want to learn how to make biscuits, homemade biscuits and things. And I will tell you,
getting so hungry.
I'm not an all-around cook like that, but I cook what I know. But I truly, I said, God has allowed me to step out and not be.
Yeah.
Careful.
Not only are you like showing off your skills, but you're improving.
Step out when I get this thing right and show y'all right. I'm gonna step out and I'm gonna start showing how to do the dough and all of that, because there's a lot of people, and I know there's some people that's gonna be with me. They don't know how, and so they won't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I decided every day, and my pastor preaches this a lot, and it's not just him. I've heard it through the years as I've grown up. Every day that you have, you ought to be able to be productive in something. Whether it's productive in helping the need of somebody else that's in need, or productive in encouraging somebody, or productive in improving who you are.
Mm-hmm.
If you are blessed to wake up each day then you should take that day and do something special with that day that's going to represent who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot tell you that I have always felt that way.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you that it has always been done that way. Because there's been,
There's always days where it's hard.
you don't have a perfect day every day.
No.
Everybody go through something every day. If you walk around here and you don't go through something none of the time,
What's
scared.
going on?
I'm scared of you.
Yeah.
Because we all go through something, whether it's big or small, something crashes in on our day sometime.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to take those crashes and I used to keep low. I used to let those things keep me at a state where I didn't think I was good enough because of things that happen through your life or people that introduce certain things. I used to feel that I was not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what I did. I could do good things for other people, but I always felt like I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
No matter what I did, I had that because I was made to feel that way.
And what made you switch?
As I grew, I started looking at things around me, but I think my attitude started changing, and it took time. My attitude started changing. I had a stroke in 1999.
Man.
It was severe. I was from the bed to the wheelchair.
Wow.
And I stayed in the wheelchair almost a whole year.
Wow, that's a huge impact.
A huge impact. And through that, I couldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where my son is in high school. He had to bathe his mom. Because I had to learn how
you can't move.
to
Yeah.
walk. I had to learn how, I had no strength. I mean, it was impact. I had a clot.
Yeah, your whole brain needs to get rewired.
I had a clot right at my stem, near my stem. So they couldn't do surgery or anything.
Wow.
A lot was taken from me, like even my memory. There is times too where you will see in my video, like I've stopped and I'm trying to think. My brain is trying to reconnect.
Mm-hmm.
They told me on the side where I had my stroke, it did a lot of damage. So from what I understand is that the damage that it did, I will be able to function, but my brain will have to, just like a electrical, like when they're doing, like putting electrical back, they have to reroute it in another way.
A little detour.
My brain does not work like it, but it has to detour and find that socket. There are times when I will pause. I know what I'm thinking, but by the time I'm ready to say it, it may come out backwards.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's that disconnection that I'm getting. And people look at me, and I know that is all through God. It's nothing that they did because they couldn't do anything. This clot had to dissolve it. So, but it did a lot of damage on this side. And I do have some impairments every now and then. I have to listen to my body. Even though it happened in 1999, you're never quite the same after you've had a really, I had to go through a lot of therapy.
Mm-hmm.
It almost, I had some, a lot of medications. Oh God, medications.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And so I couldn't for years. It took me years to get where it took me years. Through therapy and people rallying around me and encouraging me.
Yeah, your family.
Because I was going to give up. I was like, if I've got to be in a wheelchair, I don't want to live. Because I was always a hard worker. I was always helping everybody else. And now I was sat down.
Yeah, you have to change your whole way of life.
I couldn't cook. I couldn't bathe myself. Somebody had to help me eat. The first severe months I had to help me eat. They had to help me sit up because I couldn't sit up on my own. Bathe. I mean, everything. You name it. the norm was no norm anymore.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if I was, I didn't want to be here. And but I did ask God, I just had to put it in his hands. I said, you're my God, so I've got to trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you during those times, even in trying to trust God, I was angry. I was
Yeah.
angry. I couldn't do, and everybody was doing for me, and they wasn't doing it like I wanted them done.
Yeah.
Because I had never sat down like that before. I was always helping everybody else. Not everybody else had to pitch in and
Makes
help
you
me.
take a step back.
Make sure, and I have to admit, I got angry with God. I said,
Yeah.
"What did you do to me?
Why me?
I'm serving you. I'm serving you. How come it couldn't be nobody else? And I was angry with him, but you know what? Our God is so good. He understands. He already knew. He already knew how his baby was going to feel. But God stands by you anyway. And so when I look back, going back through, I don't know, I always, after I had my stroke, and even when I was a little girl, I always wanted to make everybody around me happy. I always wanted everybody to, be all right and stuff like that. And I'll get, you get knocked down sometimes. Sometimes people don't want to be, but I always try to keep a smile on my face. And people really don't know that a lot of times that I smile, I was so sad on the inside. I cried a lot on the inside, or if I was by myself, I cried. And this is even from, a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
And, but the thing I think that made me the happiest is when I was cooking. And then that was taken from me. I was like, you know what? I can no longer be a mom, and I can't be the wife I want to be. And what am I going to do? Am I going to be like this and stay like this? But God always has something in the plan. But what he showed me in it is that your life is not over. And then God started doing some things in my life, and I started seeing things come about. And I would do them, but still in the shadow, I still felt, but I'm not good enough, because I would always look at what this person was doing, what that person was doing, that they had more skills, that they were better than me, And in it, God just took and did things in me that I had never expected. I didn't even get the things like after I had this stroke, it seemed like God showed me, I'm going to show you what life really is.
Yeah.
I started getting my strength and stuff back. It took me a while. I couldn't drive. I couldn't do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that was gone. But then as the years went on and I got my strength back little by little, he was showing me that you can come back.
It kind of taught you like patience and how to see life a little bit differently, I guess.
Yeah, because I was the type of person that everything, rush, everything had to be done, But he slowed me down enough for me to think for myself, enough for me to see who I was, because I just thought, like I said, I didn't think I was good enough. I thought everybody else was better than me, and they had it going on, and I didn't have the mind, or I wasn't equipped enough. But let me tell you, that's a lie. And that's what I want to express to people. We go through things in life, but don't let that lie keep that lie on you, because the things that you go through, I don't care if you're a prostitute out there. I don't care if if you've been to prison and you're out. That does not identify who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Those are things that happen, but that's not your identity. And through the years, like with ministering and stuff, and the pastors that, I've met along the way, I just started praying and saying, God, I don't see it yet, but apparently there's a purpose
for
and
this.
I know that there's a good work in me. And and we listen to people sometimes. We listen to the wrong things that they tell us.
Yeah.
And I'll allow people to say things to me, and I took it in.
Mm-hmm.
I almost lost who I was, and I had to find out. And I think the movement and where God took me from Ohio, like throughout the years, I started getting stronger and trusting God and reading my word more and asking God to let me see beyond what I'm seeing here. Let me vision what you vision for me. And so by the time I got down here to Louisiana and we got to where we are, matter of fact, I'm going to shout my church out, North Point Community Church on Airline Drive. Pastor D and Pastor Philip. these two pastors, they teach as they preach. And he started teaching about, you're not a failure. You might fall down here. Okay, you fail, but get back up.
Yeah, it's almost like the way that you're living through these difficulties, that's what helps you get better.
That helps me. And coming down to this man's church, the way he puts it, it's like you're being able to release everything and just surrender things to God. And I'm not saying I'm fully there, because we're never there. But I'm learning more and more to trust in God through the doors that he is opening. And so these past couple of years before I turned, I think when I got 58, we were down, 58, 59. Yep, 58. We got down there. And we started going there. He started preaching like little things like, you are worthy. You are good. I've been here in ministry, you look in the Bible and God tells you himself. And I just done this recently, and that's what released me the other week. I was like, God says, no matter who you are, he said, when he made man, he saw what? That it was good. So if he made man, that means I'm good in his eyes.
Yeah.
He made me, it was a good thing. And I had been telling my husband, I said, something is coming up in me. It's being nurtured in me through God's word and me reading God's word. And I begin to tell myself at 58, it's not too late for me.
I love
and
that.
And then I begin to tell myself, you do matter. You are somebody because God appointed you. Mm-hmm. You may not be everything to everybody, but you're everything to God.
And to yourself.
And so put me here, and I'm here. There's a purpose for me, like it's a purpose for everybody else. You're not just here because, you're here because you're meant to be here. Whatever state you're in, some of us, we're in the worst states that we can be. But there's a ministry in that state when it's miserable. Because when you come out and you come through, you share that. You can tell that other person that's going through what you went through, how you came over it.
And there's something on the other side.
Yes. And so I begin to feel like somebody at 58. I no longer want, and since I have gotten here, like people that have hurt me or discouraged me or made me feel like I wasn't, I had to forgive them people.
Yeah.
But you know what else I had to do? Even though I asked God to forgive me, I had to forgive myself. Because I understand that I played a role in some of that by allowing people to make me feel that way.
Yeah.
That's the trick of the devil.
Mm-hmm.
And I will no longer allow people to make me feel like I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
I am. God called me to be just like he called you to be. The gift that you have right now, you share with everybody, that's your purpose. And you use it through media. That's a good thing, because guess what? You are good because God said it was good. And so I just decided, okay, I'll step out there, God, because you know what? Faith is that, believing that it is when you can't see it.
Yeah.
And so God can use whatever form God can use me in. And sometimes God has to use us in a way where we have to suffer physically for it. But if he's using you to bring somebody else out, then the Bible says there's a reward behind that.
Yeah, so, helping everyone else is a great reward.
So I'm looking back on everybody that I felt, because you know what? You have a choice. I didn't have to allow people to do that to me. I let them.
Yeah.
I don't longer have to.
Now
so
you know
I had to, and all this time I forgave them, thought I did, and God forgave me. I forgave myself. I never forgave myself for the things that I allowed to happen to me. And I'm at 62 years old, and let me tell you, you can start from anywhere. God ain't finished with you yet. I want to tell people, I'm a witness to that while I'm looking at it. He's been showing me these videos to show me, you're not through. There are women on this channel that are much older than you are. And look at them. Why would you not think that you cannot have something to share with somebody? Yeah. There's always something to share.
That's such an important message.
Yeah, and I just thought, cooking, that's a ministry. It still is a ministry. Never think that what you are not doing is a ministry. If it is in a good way and it's showing somebody the right way to go, or it's encouraging somebody, or giving somebody that confidence to do something, that's what God calls us here for, to help out one another in the capacity that, and do it in your best. Like my mom said, be the best at what you're going to do. Give it your all. You know?
Yeah, I love that message, you know, for people to say, you know, I figured it out when I was 58. This is not just stopping at whatever age. And it's also not just older people are not just sitting there waiting. You can still have a full life and help everyone and enjoy everything as long as you can.
You can, you know, and so, you know, I'm just grateful, you know, that it's not too late. And my pastor, you know, he preached this, that it's never too late. Start where you are.
Yeah.
And that just hit me. And he preached that like 2 years ago. You know, we have this thing, you know, where you keep going forward, you know, lean in. He's, you know, stuff like that. And I had never heard anything like that before. And he's saying, lean in to people who are in need. Do something. Just don't sit there and do nothing when you have a lot to give.
Yeah.
That's hoarding. And I don't want to be a hoarder. So I want to clean the slate. So yeah, you're supposed to give. The Bible says, give what you know. Yeah. Let people receive what you know. And so, yeah, because once they know it, then they can't say that it wasn't told to them. You know? And so that's why we're here. And so I'm just stepping out here in faith, and I'm enjoying what I'm doing, you know, as long as God will allow me to do it. Mm-hmm. And I hope that people joining in, that's what they will feel. If it's nothing but wanting to feel part of a family.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it.
Be part of my family.
Yay.
Not just because you can be a subscriber, but I'm so sincere. You can be a part of my family because you're in my heart. I get emotional. Because I found out that when you love people, that's the freedom that God gives you. You are free when you can love people. Mm. I don't necessarily have to be right here at them, but I can love you from afar with a true heart. And these people that have come on, that's what God proved to me, that you are loved. And that's what I feel, you know, with this audience. I know a lot of people, but I don't know this many people.
Yeah.
And for them to come on and be a part of my channel, they just don't know. I can say thank you. I can say I love you. But there's a word out there that I can't even express because it's not in the dictionary. That means more to me than they'll ever know.
That's so great.
And I'm grateful. They just don't know. I'm so grateful, you know. I just, don't make me cry.
Okay. Okay. That's a perfect note to end on. And usually before we end, I always ask one question is, what would be your advice for the people from my generation for just life or cooking or whatever you want?
You know what? I know that this generation has so much to deal with. There's so much technology and everybody's going through, you know, there's new ideas out there, but even for this generation, I still want you to take time to slow up and really evaluate who you are. Evaluate what you want to be. But I really want this generation to love and see the need to love others. You know, put down the I'm prideful thing, because we don't have time for that.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there that are hurting. There's so many people that don't know what love is. And I'm not saying from a sexual part. I'm talking about, I don't know you, but I love you.
Yeah.
I want to encourage you and let you know that that's from the bottom of my heart. Mm-hmm. We got to start being sincere with one another. Instead of us putting one another down, we need to lift one another up, because every day that we live, you know, we don't know what's going to come up. We don't know who's going to have to help us.
Yeah.
But we should be willing. If we just start loving and forgiving one another and forgive yourself. Don't punish yourself for everything that happens in your life, because life is
so important.
It took me 62 years to understand that.
Mhm.
But it ain't over. But you can start right where you are. Try to understand, you know, don't let all of the hatred around you, the things that are going on around you cause you to be like that too. You got a choice in life. And I'm hoping that the younger people will choose to do what's right and safe for them, to be encouraged. And you know what? It's okay to listen to older people.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
The times might have changed, but it's the same.
Plus, you've accumulated 60 years of experience that you can just give us to have a quick start.
And I've been asked, you know, you should write a book. Maybe I should.
Maybe you should.
Might be on my bucket list right there.
Yep.
To write a book, you know, of my experiences
Yeah.
through life. You know, I lived through some things too, you know, and I love the young people, and it's just that, oh, it's okay to stop and listen, because somebody can always tell you something. And not because I'm older, I listen to my grandkids because they know what's going on in today.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I'm that over. That's it. If you want to grow, you have to listen, learn to hear what's going on. Okay? Don't just be all over the place. It's okay to stop and listen, you know.
All right.
And encourage you, you know, Lynn's Kitchen. I just need you to come on back, you know, and be a part of the family. I don't mind having a bunch of grandchildren. Just come on.
That's great. Thank you so much, Lynn. This has been awesome, and I think your listeners are going to be really happy to have another aspect of you and
I hope
get
so.
to know you better. I'm sure you'll have a even bigger family after this comes out.
Yeah, I would have a bigger family. I'm like, oh, I was thinking it's so wonderful, but it's good to know that you're loved, you know.
All right.
And I appreciate it.